Of all the pieces of furniture in the Brewster house, Bobby Brewster is fondest of the cuckoo clock which hangs on the dining room wall. This clock has a little platform in front, and every quarter of an hour a tiny door opens and out pops a cuckoo. If the time is a quarter past the hour, the cuckoo says, "Cuckoo," and pops straight back into its house again. At 1/2 past, it cuckoos twice, at 1/4 to 3 times, and every hour it sings the longest song of all. Cuckoo, 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 and then home it goes. Ever since Bobby Brewster can remember, he's been fascinated by this clock, and whenever he has friends to a party, he asks Mr. Brewster to show them how to wind it up. Mr. Brewster pulls down a chain, up goes a weight, he waggles the pendulum, and then the clock goes for a whole day without stopping. Anyway, I expect a lot of you know about cuckoo clocks, because you have one at home, so I won't describe it any more. But you see, Bobby Brewster's clock has a magic cuckoo in it. It has really. Even Bobby himself didn't know this until one day a very funny thing happened. Bobby Brewster was by himself in the dining room reading a book when the clock struck 2. "Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo," sang the cuckoo, and Bobby looked up to watch it go back through the door. But it didn't. It stayed out on the platform, looked straight at Bobby, and winked. A great big wink with his left eye. Of course, Bobby Brewster winked back. "Hello," said the cuckoo. "I beg your pardon," said Bobby Brewster. "I said hello," said the cuckoo. "Well, bless my soul," replied Bobby. "Do you mean to tell me that you're a member of the Winkers Club?" "Of course I am," said the cuckoo. "I've been a member for years." "It's the first time I knew it," said Bobby. "You're usually in such a hurry to go back through your door that I've never really seen your face before, let alone watched you wink. You're always in such a hurry, it's as if you were rushing to catch a train." "I'm very sorry," said the cuckoo, "but life seems such a rush with all this cuckooing that it hadn't occurred to me before to stay out on the platform and talk to you." "Can you stay long?" asked Bobby. "Oh, no, that's the trouble," said the cuckoo. "If I do, the clock will go wrong. I'll tell you what, why don't you come in and have tea with me?" "I should love to," said Bobby Brewster, "but I could never get in the clock. I'm much too big." "Oh, no, you're not," said the cuckoo. "I can easily arrange that. I'm a magic cuckoo." "Are you really?" asked Bobby. "How interesting." "I'll just hurry in now to put the kettle on and lay the table," said the cuckoo, "and you see what happens at 2:15. Well, of course, Bobby was very excited. He simply couldn't go on reading his book, but he watched the hands of the clock go slowly round, till at 2:15 the door opened, and out popped the cuckoo again. "Cuckoo," it said, and winked at Bobby Brewster. Bobby winked back. "Billy, Billy, Billy, Billy Bilo," said the cuckoo, and before Bobby could ask it what on earth it meant, he found himself getting smaller and smaller, till he was no bigger than the cuckoo itself. "Now jump," said the cuckoo. "What, right up there?" said Bobby Brewster. "Yes," said the cuckoo. "I couldn't even reach you when I was a proper-sized boy," said Bobby Brewster, "so I'm sure I could never jump as high as that now." "Just you try," said the cuckoo. So Bobby Brewster jumped, and to his surprise landed on the platform of the clock next to the cuckoo. "How do you do?" said the cuckoo. "I'm very pleased to meet you." And they shook hands. The cuckoo opened the little door. "Please go in," it said. "Tea is nearly ready. I'm just waiting for the kettle to boil." Inside the clock it was really very nice. There was a lovely fire blazing in the grate, and the kettle stood on the hob. Tea was laid on a white tablecloth, and everything seemed very snug and cosy. "What a lovely room," said Bobby Brewster. "Yes, it is rather nice," answered the cuckoo. "I'm quite comfortable here in most ways. Of course, I have to be careful." "Careful of what?" asked Bobby. "The pendulum," said the cuckoo. "If I got in the way of that, it'd knock me down." And then Bobby noticed that all the time a great pendulum was swinging to and fro at the back of the room. "Do you sleep on the sofa?" asked Bobby Brewster politely. "Sleep?" said the cuckoo. "I seldom have any time for sleeping. Excuse me." And it rushed out of the door onto the platform. "Cuckoo, cuckoo," it then shouted, and came inside again. "I'm so sorry to interrupt," said the cuckoo, "but it was 2:30. "That's quite all right," said Bobby Brewster. "But did I understand you to say, before you went outside, that you never get time for sleeping?" "Of course I don't," said the cuckoo. "I have to rush out onto that wretched platform every quarter of an hour. I'm on duty here all day and night, you know." "Are you really?" asked Bobby Brewster. "Yes," replied the cuckoo. "Haven't you ever heard me cuckooing in the middle of the night?" "Well, now you mention it, I have," said Bobby Brewster, "but it never occurred to me before that it stopped you from going to bed." "Well, it does," said the cuckoo, "and I'm getting very tired of the whole thing. Come along now, we'd better start our tea. You take your time, but I must hurry. At 2:45, I've got to go out and cuckoo again." It was a lovely tea. There was bread and jam, cakes, and, best of all, sardine sandwiches. Bobby was just settling down to his second sandwich when the cuckoo suddenly said, "Excuse me," gulped a sip of tea, rushed out onto the platform, shouted, "Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo," and came back looking rather breathless. "Whew," said the cuckoo. "I nearly forgot that time. I can't relax for a moment." "No, I can see you can't," said Bobby Brewster. "It must be very awkward." "It's ruining my digestion," said the cuckoo, "and I'm quickly becoming almost a bundle of nerves." The more they talked, the sorrier Bobby Brewster felt for that cuckoo. It kept jumping up to look at the clock, and right in the middle of a cake or sandwich, it'd have to rush out onto the platform to shout, "Cuckoo!" There never seemed to be a moment's peace, especially as the longer he stayed in the room, the more Bobby seemed to notice the great pendulum swinging from side to side across the back wall. In the end, he couldn't stand it any longer. "I really think I must be going now," he said to the cuckoo. "Oh, must you?" said the cuckoo, rather disappointed. "Yes," said Bobby Brewster. "Just look at the time." "Good heavens," said the cuckoo, "I nearly forgot again." And it rushed out, shouted, "Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo," and darted back. "It was 3:45, the cuckoo explained, very red in the face. "Now could you please arrange to make me a big boy again?" asked Bobby Brewster. "Goodness gracious, I'd nearly forgotten that," said the cuckoo. "Let me see now. What is the magic word?" "Well, I don't know," said Bobby Brewster. "That's for you to say." "Yes, I know," said the cuckoo, "but I'm very sorry. I've forgotten it." "You've what?" shouted Bobby Brewster. "I've forgotten the magic word to make you big again," said the cuckoo. "Well, what on earth am I going to do?" said Bobby. "I can't stay in this clock all night. My mother and father will wonder where I am." "But you must give me time," said the cuckoo. "I'm so worried with all this work. I can't remember things. You just sit down while I try to remember." Do you think the cuckoo could remember that word? It kept on saying silly rhyming words like willy-killy-nilly-tilly, and then shaking its head. Once it said, "I've got it on the tip of my tongue." But before it could think any more, it had to rush out onto the platform and, "Cuckoo!" When it came back, it said, "No, it's no use. I can't possibly think properly when I have to keep rushing in and out like that." Then Bobby Brewster had an idea. "I'll tell you what," he said. "You just lie down on the sofa and have a nice sleep." "Oh, I couldn't possibly do that," said the cuckoo. "I've got my job to think of." "Never you mind about that," said Bobby Brewster. "I'll see to it." "You?" asked the cuckoo. "Yes," said Bobby Brewster. "I can tell the time, and I promise that every quarter of an hour I will go out on your platform and do your cuckooing for you." At first the cuckoo didn't seem to like the idea. "Now look here," said Bobby Brewster, "if you go on in this state, you'll forget the time and the clock will go wrong and everybody will suffer. What you need is a good sleep." "Well, it would be rather nice," said the cuckoo, yawning. "Then just you lie down on that sofa and leave it to me," said Bobby Brewster. "When you wake up you'll feel much better, and you'll probably remember the magic word, and then we'll both be satisfied." "All right," said the cuckoo, and it lay on the sofa and closed its eyes, and before you could say Jack Robinson, it was fast asleep. Bobby Brewster watched the clock carefully. At 4:45 he went out onto the platform and nearly cuckooed his head off. At 5 o'clock, when he had 4 cuckoos to shout, he started to cough in the middle. "Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo." It was a jolly good thing the dining room was empty. If anyone had looked up at the clock and seen, instead of a cuckoo, a boy in a blue jersey and corduroy trousers, think what a shock they would have had. Just before 5:15, the cuckoo suddenly opened its eyes and yawned. "Well," asked Bobby Brewster, "how do you feel now?" "I'm not nearly so tired, and my head's as clear as a bell," said the cuckoo. "I can remember the magic word. It's—" No, don't say it now," shouted Bobby. "I shall start getting big at once and break your clock to bits." "Oh, I hadn't thought of that," said the cuckoo. "You had better go outside and jump onto the floor." "What, all that way?" said Bobby Brewster. "I'll break my leg." "Oh, no, you won't," said the cuckoo. "Don't forget, I'm a magic cuckoo. I can stop that." "Very well," said Bobby Brewster. "Thank you very much for the tea. I'll come again sometimes and do your cuckooing so you can have another sleep." "That'll be lovely," said the cuckoo. "Goodbye." Bobby Brewster went out onto the platform and jumped. As soon as he landed on the floor, the cuckoo came out to say the magic word. "Billy, Billy, 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 Bingy," it said, and winked. Then it added, "Cuckoo," and popped back through the door. Bobby Brewster found himself getting bigger and bigger till he reached the right size. It was only just in time, for his mother came in the room immediately afterwards to lay the tea, and of course she couldn't understand why Bobby Brewster ate such a small meal. And you know, about once a week, when he is in the dining room on his own, Bobby goes up into the clock to help that cuckoo. And from that day to this, the clock has kept perfect time, and the cuckoo hasn't sounded nearly so tired when it has come out onto the balcony to say, "Cuckoo, cuckoo."